qu'est-ce que je peux mettre dans un script? When I create a script, what can I put in the script? Ok. Je peux mettre des variables à l'intérieur d'un script et afficher leurs valeurs. Vous savez qu'on a expliqué hier qu'il y a une variable, il y a le nom, et puis il y a quoi? La valeur de la variable. C'est la première chose qu'on peut mettre à l'intérieur d'un script. Dans un script, on peut mettre les saisies des utilisateurs. Dans un script, on peut mettre des opérateurs. Et dans un script, on peut mettre des structures logiques. Donc, variables et input des utilisateurs généralement représentent ce qu'on appelle la grande catégorie des variables. Parce que les saisies des utilisateurs aussi, ça va aller dans des variables. Ça va. Anglais. Ok. First point.
Okay. All right. So, I think it could actually be
What do you think?
we might need a bit more explanation. So, let me just see. For a shell script has different features, okay? So we have variables. Peter talked about variables yesterday, correct? That hold a particular value. Then we do have a user input, like what you give the shell script as an input. Then we have operators, that can be used, for example, to perform mathematical operations. And then we have these logic structures that do different kinds of things. So they're sequential. For example, the for loop. I'm sure you've used a for loop somewhere. For this and this, do this. Think of it that way. Decision logic, which means like something that, if yes, do this. If no, do this. So these are all these things you can incorporate into a shell script. Good?
Quand tu veux écrire un script, chose que tu dois mettre dans le script. La première chose que tu peux mettre dans le script, ce sont des variables. Tu peux mettre des variables. On a parlé de la fonction des variables, mais ça. Donc tu peux mettre des variables dans le premier script, et c'est ce qu'on va faire tout à l'heure. Tu peux mettre des saisies des utilisateurs. Par exemple, lorsque tu exécutes le script va te dire, par exemple, construire un nom. Tu saisis le nom, et puis j'utilise le nom pour travailler. Ça s'appelle des saisies des utilisateurs. Tu peux mettre des opérateurs logiques. Les opérateurs logiques, par exemple, tu peux faire des calculs mathématiques et autres. Mais après, tu peux faire mettre après ce qu'on appelle des structures logiques. Les structures logiques, il y a principalement deux grands types de structures logiques. Il y a les structures itératives, ça veut dire que tu peux lui dire, par exemple, fais ceci 5 fois, fais ceci 10 fois. Ça s'appelle des structures itératives ou développement. Maintenant, il y a ce qu'on appelle des structures décisionnelles, des structures de décision. Si tu es dans telle condition, tu fais ceci. Si tu es dans une autre condition, tu fais autre chose. Ça s'appelle des structures logiques. Et donc, voici ce qu'on peut avoir dans un script. Et pour effectuer une analyse dans un script, vous devez définir ce que vous appelez variable, si vous avez besoin de données utilisateurs. Et puis, opérateur et structure logique, ça va représenter ce que l'on appelle l'analyse qu'on veut effectuer. Donc, en écrivant un script, il faut subdiviser en plusieurs parties. OK. Donc, on va créer un script où on va mettre des variables. Une variable qui prend notre nom et l'affiche. Est-ce qu'on a? OK. Donc, on va copier my first script. CD script. Copy my first script. sh to my second script.sh. Donc, on va prendre le premier script et on va faire une copie pour ne pas retaper tout ce qu'il y a à l'intérieur chaque fois. Allez-y. Après, my second script.sm. C'est bon? Non, je veux créer un nouveau script. Mais pour ne pas tout recommencer à zéro, je prends l'ancien, je fais une nouvelle copie et je vais travailler pour mon zéro. Comme ça, on va se copier-coller. C'est sorte de copy and paste. Ok. Tiens. Nano, my second script. Ok. Donc, à l'intérieur de my second script, il y a les mêmes éléments. Ah, je suis d'accord. Ok. Donc, je vais mettre des commentaires. You must be organized when you are writing your script. Donc, some comments. Variable. Yeah. On a dit qu'après variable, c'était quoi? User input. Et puis, say treatment. Donc, organize your script like this. Et affiche le contenu de la variable. My second script, use a variable and print the content of the variable. Just use a variable in a script. Donc, je mets ici, la variable c'est my name. Créer une variable c'est égal. Hein? Et puis, je mets par exemple Stan. Yeah. Et dans la partie traitement, je mets echo. My name is. Et quand on veut appeler une variable, n'oubliez pas, il faut mettre le dollar. Dollar my name. What this script is supposed to do? Qu'est-ce que ce script est censé faire? Qu'est-ce que ce script est censé faire? Que vous ne mettez pas d'espace, ce sera collé. Si vous voulez avoir my name is espace, il faut mettre un espace ici.
So we are fine. So you remember yesterday we said in bioinformatics we don't like spaces. Okay? Because it always causes problems. In variable names, you can see it's one compact string. Okay? My name. But if we need to have space, then we put it inside the quote. Okay? So that the computer will understand it correctly. Fine? Now, the question I had was here. You remember when we first made my script, we needed to use ch mode, right? To give it permissions to execute, correct? Why did we not give permissions to my second script? Yeah. Why did we not give it permissions? And we can see that it has permissions. So who gave it permissions? Where did it get permissions from? So we copied, which means it inherited the permissions. Okay? So there's something we call permission inheritance. Okay? So just remember that because it was inheriting some permissions, sometimes if you start from scratch again, you'll always need to have that command like give it permissions before you execute. Okay? One last thing. Okay? Remember, Stan is just using these categories to describe what a script does in different sections, okay? The hash here we've learned is used to put comments, okay? So typically you would also just want to have this is so you can put as many comments as you want, okay? But I just wanted to highlight that it's usually good to have information that is useful. Like if you give somebody that script, they know what the script does, maybe who created it, and when it was created. Okay? Good? Any question?
Donc, c'est juste pour donner un peu d'éclaircissement avec give some ce qu'il y a de donner, c'est quoi? C'est que quand vous faites un script, c'est mieux de marquer des informations pour décrire ce qu'il y a dedans. Et dans le script, quand vous voyez dièse, ça veut dire que c'est un commentaire. Et la machine ne va pas prendre ça comme une ligne de commande d'une fonction. Donc, dès que, même si vous regardez là, il a mis écho par exemple, dès que vous mettez dièse, la machine prend ça comme un commentaire. Donc là-bas, vous mettez les informations qui vont renseigner sur votre. Parce que vous faites. Là, il a mis This is my training script. C'est un commentaire pour savoir ce qui est dedans. C'est ma première formation sur les scripts. Et puis, il a mis quelle date, qui. Donc, c'est juste pour renseigner sur le document. Donc, c'est ce qui est bien.
Et c'est ce qui doit être fait. Parce qu'après, quand vous distribuez votre code, un script c'est fait, c'est une commande concrète. Après, on peut partager. Ça permet à la personne qui va avoir le script d'avoir de la documentation sur le script. Ok. Deuxième chose qu'on va faire, un script peut récupérer ce qu'on appelle les informations de l'utilisateur. Le script peut demander à la personne, saisit un nombre, il saisit le nombre et puis il utilise le nombre pour faire des calculs et autres. Donc, on va ajouter un autre compartiment dans la partie user input. Echo. Je peux mettre entre compte aussi, hein, ça pas de problème. Et puis, dans la partie traitement, je vais mettre echo cut my age is $sign my age. Just this. Variable. How you do use. Et puis ici, c'est pour voir comment on utilise les saisies des utilisateurs. User input. On commence toujours par afficher quelque chose. You must print something to the user to know what he have to do. Donc, mais maintenant, tu peux you read pour récupérer ce qu'il va taper. On dit j'exécute, prête exécuter. Ctrl X. Ctrl X. Yes. Enter and enter your age. 10. You see? Okay. So no, you can just control X. Yeah. So I mean, if I ran the script and it asks me for my age, right? What will happen if I don't put anything? You don't know what you have to do. It will output nothing. Right? Because you don't have to put something. Even nothing is an input. Okay? But it's good that you put something. Okay? So now, there's the other question someone asked. Like here we are asking, so, echo, where is the input? Got it.
Too fast. Sorry. You're too fast. Sorry, I have to go slowly.
Okay.
You don't have to.
Supposons qu'il a mis un autre message.
Non, avant d'abord de rentrer là.
Je suis désolé.
Control X. No.
Okay. You want me to explain this? So,
Oh, you have to run again. Let's see.
so the script wants an input, right? So you can choose to say something like 10, this, or you can choose not to put anything. And when you hit enter, the computer does not care if you put something or you did not. If you put a number, it will output the number. If you didn't input anything, it will output nothing. Tu comprends? Now, the second thing I wanted to explain was before we had enter your age, right? But now I have added a second echo. So here it says, enter your age, you are great. So what do we do? So let me say, I say 10. Oops. It says, my age is 10. Okay? So what I wanted to explain is that these echo statements are not connected with this input. But they're supposed to help you interpret what the input should be. Okay?
Juste pour donner une indication sur ce que tu dois remplir.
So, if you wrote enter your age, and then you say you are great, that's just bad coding, bad communication, right? The script does not care what you put there. In fact, even if here you said, I am great, my age, it will produce the number, right? Let's do that. Let's even just do that. So here, echo. Okay. X. And let's even delete this. Enter your age. Okay? Let's use 10. So echo is not connected to the variable. Okay? But you as a bioinformatician, obviously you need to print something that is useful to the user, right? Because let's say, which is something Stan will talk about this afternoon. Let's say you are running a script where you want somebody, for example, input first Q reads. If you say enter your birthday, but you want first Q reads, that will be miscommunication, right? So you must ensure that your echo statements are correct. They are doing the right thing. Is that clear? So read, again going back here. This is not connected with this. Secondly, the name of the variable does not matter. You could say X, my pineapple, and it will still be a number if you want to give that as an input. But of course, you have to use variable names that make sense. Okay? So it's just good practice because, again, what you're insisting on is often you'll be writing the script, but you need to give it to your colleague, right? And if you give it to your colleague, they need to read through the script and understand what these things are doing. And sometimes you will not even have a colleague who does programming. They just need to run it. You tell him, take this, open your terminal, run the script. Then it asks, what is the batch number? What is the date today? Right? So if you put the wrong thing, the wrong prompt, that's what we call it, then there will be miscommunication. Tu comprends? Any question? Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
You can see that for these variables, initially here, we had to declare the variable and then give it a value, right?
Yeah.
But for this variable here, we did not have to do that.
Yeah.
So again, this is one of those scenarios where we, with the read function, it creates that variable when it calls, read my age. That's why you are able to assign it $my age, and it will interpret it correctly. Good? All right. So in this case, I've changed the script that we want to read our inputs. So in this case, see, instead of giving it the variable, so I've just, commented this out, so this one now is gone. So we are saying echo, what is your name? Read my name. Okay? Okay, echo, enter your age, read my age. And then here we echo, my name is $, my name. Echo, my name, my age is $, my age, from that. Okay? So, in this case, when I run it this way, it's going to ask me, what is your name? Then I give it a name, right? So, saying this is Stan. Then it will read another input. What is your age? Then I give it an age. So Stan is 10 years old. Then it's done. So it says, my name is Stan, my age is 10. Okay? Because you remember, again, I'm trying to make this as practical as possible. You remember when you were running AP to me, right?
Yeah.
There were different stages. First it asks you, where is your input files? You click a box. So that is sort of like what the read prompt is doing at the back. Then it asks you, where do you want your output to be? You give it a value. What do you want to call this thing? Test or run one. So that is what a prompt is, but from a graphical user interface, which is easy. Just click. But this is what is happening at the back. The here is the high, not the bad one. All right. Any question? Yeah. C'est bon?
Mais dans un script, il peut y avoir des structures itératives qu'on appelle des loops. Il peut y avoir des structures itératives qu'on appelle des loops. Une loop, c'est quoi? C'est une instruction qu'on écrit une fois, mais qui peut s'exécuter plusieurs fois. On écrit une seule fois et ça s'exécute plusieurs fois. Donc, on va apprendre à faire des loops. Lorsque je vais faire des structures, la syntaxe pour écrire des structures qui doivent se répéter, c'est ceci. On met for, on met une variable, on met une liste de choses ici, on met do, et ce qui doit se répéter, on le met ici. Et à la fin, on met down. Donc ici, on met for, on met une variable, le nom d'une variable. On sait comment on écrit une variable. C'est une chaîne de caractères. In, on met une liste d'éléments ici. Donc cette variable-là va prendre pour répéter. S'il doit répéter 10 fois, les 10 valeurs doivent provenir d'ici. S'il doit répéter 20 fois, les 20 valeurs doivent provenir d'ici. Et ce qu'il doit faire sur les valeurs qu'il a prises ici, c'est ce qu'on met ici. Et c'est cette structure-là qu'il faut respecter. Maintenant, il y a certaines personnes qui aiment programmer en ligne, ce qu'on appelle des one-line. Donc, ça peut être, le for peut être de cette manière, mais le for peut être en une seule ligne. Et regardez, ici, quand c'est en une seule ligne, quand j'arrive ici, pour rester sur la même ligne, je dois mettre un point, virgule. Après, je mets d'où la tâche à effectuer. Après d'où, il n'y a pas de point, virgule. La tâche à effectuer. Quand j'ai fini ça, avant de mettre le done, je mets point, virgule et je mets done. Donc, la loupe for peut se présenter de deux manières, soit en vertical, soit en quoi? To my script dot sh and we'll modify it. Copy. My var in the list. To create a list, you can do simple 1.5 do. Où ça? Oui, vous videz tout ce qui était là. Mais vous gardez les commentaires, les grands commentaires. For var in. Ça, c'est une liste. Ça, c'est une liste. For var in 1.5 do what? What is the command to create to create a folder? MKD. MKD what? The name must be run 1, run 2, run 3, and so on. Run 1, run 2, run 3, and so on. Okay. Begin by run. Run. And must be 1, 2, 3 with changing the span. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this number comes from my var. My var will take number 1, number 2. So I will put, what should I put here? My var or dollar my var? Yeah. What I want is the content of my var, the value of my var. You put dollar my var. And done.
Donc, si vous voulez,
Ouais.
ça va permettre de mettre tous les rôles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dans un même.
Ouais, dans mon répertoire. Okay. Donc, for my var in this list, do mkd run n with the value of my var, done. We'll do this for 1. My var takes ones, mkd 1, 1. Take the value 2, mkd run 2 is.
one is, if you look at this description, okay, you can see it says for here, variable, in, and then those two things. So in programming, it's common to use.
What's wrong?
In programming, it's common to use this to make you understand that you need to put in something there. Okay? So one, if you, let's say you're Googling and then you find somebody has given you a solution and they've put something like this, do not copy paste it. The way you're supposed to understand it is that there should be something there. Is that okay? Now, to the second question, we had that thing reading for that. Here they said variable, right? In. What was here? List. And then what Stan did was to say for, what did you call your variable? My name. My? In. Fine. Oops. Oops.
Just click on the left.
Right? So someone was asking, why is it that we are putting brackets here for the list, but for the variable we are not putting a bracket? Because essentially there are two different things. One is a variable, one is a list, right? Essentially, a list, you can just list it out. You can basically say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that is not efficient. So we write it in short form, put it in a bracket like that, with the 2 dots. Then, you know, the interpreter knows that, okay, I need to expand this. That's why we do it using that notation. Is that okay? Go back.
Okay. Minus L. And look. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. One last thing. You remember when we had an error, right? The output told you. Let's probably just do that. Telling you that line 16, syntax error, yeah, unexpected token. So somebody has asked me, where is it getting line 16? So what is line 16? Okay? So if you go to your script, and here we are in line 1, right? So start. 1, 2. This is line 16, right? So Nano is a very simple text editor. many of the, I call them fancy text editor like Vim, the one that Peter was using yesterday, will show you line numbers. Okay? Or if you're using something like VS Code,
Yes,
it will show you the line number. But Nano is meant to be simple. It will, just show you the actual lines, but not the line number. There is a command you can use when you run Nano so that it can show you line numbers when you open the document, but it's not common that people use it. How do we find out? Right? Oh, okay. So, what did I? Okay, so it's actually Pico. Oops. Do you see anything to do with line? Never show cursor, never go to. Has somebody seen it?
this will call like you don't.
I think I used to know what this is, but I can't remember.
There's a shortcut to
Yes.
fix this. It's not important.
What did I use? C. Did I use? I also don't trust this guy. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay. Last thing before break, your if statement.
That is the right one. This is the right one. Yes, yes. If you use that, won't work. Use this. I only changed it back to explain about lines, but this is correct. Okay? So, again, for consistency, what do we say consistency on Fonse? Consistency. For consistency, try to use bash instead of this option, okay? Now, Mac many times will not have a problem if you use ./, if you're working with a Mac. But not everyone here is using a Mac. As some of you have seen, in Ubuntu, if you use ./, it's not going to create the directory you expect. It's going to create a directory called run one, and that's not what you want, right? So just in good practice, always call the program bash and then your script. Okay? So here it did not create, you can see it's giving you information that the file exists, so it's not going to create it.
One line script. I want it now in a one line script. This is the less. I want this syntax. Change the in a one line mode. Change it in a one line mode. Down. And if you really approach one line, and it's Ce qu'on a écrit ici, c'est la forme verticale. Mais il y a la forme horizontale. Il y a cette forme. Je veux ça sous cette forme maintenant. Good. One line. Yeah.